guys, it's Kelly. I'm back with another process video. This layout is my first one that I am sharing with the Citrus Twist design team. This is their October kit that is called Good Vibes, and I am going to be using just the main scrapbook kit for this layout. It is full of some gorgeous pink paisley turn the page pieces between some paper and the ephemera, and there's also a beautiful Citrus Twist exclusive paper that is also featured on this page as well. So I have taken this photo of me and a friend of mine, and I have known her since like 2003, I believe. Yeah, we were in anesthesia school together, and we are currently working together. So it's just nice to be with her. There are certain things that you do with people in your lives, and you know, when you are in the trenches and going through something difficult and you make a friend out of it, this girl is a friend for life. We may not, talk on a daily basis, but I know that she has my back and she knows that I have hers. So I just wanted to document this photo. We are actually both in a wedding together, and this was at the bridal shower, so it was nice just to be able to get a photo of the two of us. There will be more coming. So the main kit has the gorgeous stickers that are from Paige Evans, and I am going to title this Sweet Moments. I love these letters. I often have a hard time mixing different colors with the alphas, but this just made it so easy. And this die cut I love, but I wanted to cut the little flower pieces up so that I could use them in a couple of areas on the page, and I actually only use one of them, but I'm going to save the other two for different pages. So the flower die cuts are going to be the main focal point of this page. They are gorgeous. You know how much I love flowers, especially if you followed me for a while. And you know, it's one of the first things that I'm going to gravitate towards. My friend is also a very girly girl, so it just really does make a fitting layout for the two of us. So I just took one of the Maggie Holmes tickets. This is also included in the main kit. I love, love, love this ticket sheet. My tip for you, if you are doing a collection on your own, is to always, or trying to make a kit of your own, is to always look for pattern papers or the specialty paper that you can get a lot of use out of. A lot of the tickets say Carnival or things like that, but you can layer them underneath pieces and just build your clusters, and it really just makes for a lovely embellishment. And I'm so thrilled that this was included in the kit. So this piece of paper that I am using right now is the exclusive Citrus Twist kit paper, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous, and it looks like cross stitches. And for this page, I felt like it had all the colors and the flowers, and it has like that home feel to it, and I just adore this paper, and I felt like it went beautifully with the stitched elements that are in the tag that you see to the right. And I'm also going to off camera stitch on the flowers just to further use that stitching theme. So I'm just playing around with some of the pattern papers. I knew that I wanted a strip up top and a strip at the bottom, and my plan is to distress the edges in just a bit, because I want to just really, I am a very visual person, and I like the texture and the dimension and all of those things. So as opposed to actually machine stitching on the layout, I thought instead of that I would bring that tactile element with just distressing the edges. So that was a frame die cut that I layered behind the photo, and I just trimmed it down to where it was even on all sides. And I like using that frame as a pattern paper, basically, because it has all of the colors of the flowers and it just ties everything together. So I do want to pop up my photo with some craft foam, and I know that some people have trouble using their ATG on craft foam. I just find that if I have a pretty firm hand when I'm putting the glue down, and I put the glue down directly on the foam, that for the most part, it does pretty good, and it does you know, hold the stick well. I don't feel like my photos are ever coming off of the craft foam, if that makes sense. So I am going to put some craft foam underneath these flowers as well. My goal for this is for the flower die cuts to overlap the photo a little bit so that the photo is nestled down in between them, and I want them to be the same dimension. So to keep them the same dimension, I am going to use the same foam. At this point, I'm putting down the foam and I am completely not thinking about the fact that I wanted to stitch the flowers. So when it goes back time for me to stitch the flowers, I end up taking off the foam and stitching them. So I'm just trying to figure out which flowers I want to use and where. I love that rose gold foil flower on that right hand side. I feel like it helps to pull down the rose gold from the butterfly, and it just, you know, completes that page for me. And this is where I am going to go ahead and distress the edges. You can use a tool like I have, but you don't have to have one. You can use your scissors if that is what you have available. I always say don't go and buy a tool for something as simple as this. Save your money. Just use your scissors. I got this years and years ago, and it was maybe in a kit. So that is why I have that. But I definitely, unless you absolutely hate doing it, I would just use your scissors. So I am liking the way that this is coming together, and I wanted to, at this point I'm trying to think what I want to do to the background because it was feeling pretty white and pretty plain, and you know how much I love my white cardstock backgrounds, but I wanted to do something a little bit different with this to jazz it up. And I will apologize right now because I have no idea what happened to the footage. Fortunately, it was only a small amount of footage that was lost. I'm not sure if I deleted it. It's not on my phone where I normally, you know, keep the videos, and I couldn't find it on my computer, and I'm like 100% sure that I did actually hit the record button, but I can't find it, so I'll explain what I did. I took some of the Heavy Body Liquitex acrylic paint, and I mixed white and a very light pink, and I mixed the two of those together, and I just put a quick wash, not even a wash. I used a dry brush with the paint and just used some dry strokes on the back of the page. And I, you know, didn't want it to cover up a lot because I do like my white space, but I wanted to just, I guess, maybe have it like to help ground the flowers and just to bring some more color into the page. Now, this pink does not match necessarily the pinks that are in the flowers. I find that I don't want to match. I want it to blend or to just, you know, be the same shade but a different hue of the shade, because I think that the more contrast you have, the better that it appears, and it just helps to bring everything together. So I'm just going to tuck in the little parts of the ticket underneath the photo, and I think I only use 1/2 of the ticket, but that's okay. I will just keep it in my stash, and I'm sure that I will use it at a different time. That blue and white stripe paper that I am messing with right now, that came off of a branding strip, I believe. It was just a little strip. I always look for things that I can include on my layouts that are not necessarily meant to be used, but that can be used. So that means pretty packaging. I will trim off the edge, or I will flip it over and use the back if it has like a graph paper. Always be on the lookout for ways that you can get more bang for your buck. I almost feel like that's not cheating, but you know, it really makes me happy when I can get an extra use out of something, if that makes sense. So I just used my T-square ruler. I wanted to make sure that my photo was somewhat in the center, and the reason, it's not that it was that important. In my head, I'm looking at the butterfly, and I know that that's going to be over to the left-hand side of the photo, and my title is going to be over to the right. So I was just looking for balance and symmetry, not necessarily to make sure that it was exactly 6 inches in on the page and 6 inches down. It was just trying to estimate the amount of white space that I would have on both sides, just so that it would be somewhat even. So this little piece of paper is also from a branding strip, and it has, again, the cross stitches. I am going to layer that up with a label, and at a later point I'm going to stamp on it. The labels are going to change colors several times. I was trying to figure out which one I wanted. The yellow I thought might work since I've got yellow in the letters, but I felt like it just really blended in, and I didn't like the way that it looked. So while I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to put there, I just want to go ahead and I put that heart die cut, and I'm putting a few of the enamel shapes. I chose the number 2, and that just represents the two of us, and it's a neutral color. It's sometimes I have a hard time using numbers, but I felt like the 2 worked here well, and I wanted to use it since I could get it to work on the page, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to save embellishments for like the perfect page unless I know in my head the plan before I'm making this page. I don't know if that made sense or if I was able to explain that well enough, but I want to be able to use my pretty things when I'm in the mood, because I have a lot in my stash of pretty things that I've hoarded for the perfect page, and now they're just not my favorites. So I want to use these while I can. So I am using Scotch tacky adhesive in my fine line bottle, and I've had a couple questions about the fine line bottle. If you don't have one, you can order it on Amazon, or you can find it in Hobby Lobby in the model car section. There's 2 different tips though. There's an 18 gauge and I think it's a 21 gauge. The higher the number, the smaller the gauge, meaning you want the 18 gauge yellow tip. It has a bigger bore for the glue to come out so that you don't have to squeeze as hard and the glue comes out nicely. The hole's not that big though, so it's still a small hole to where it is a fine line of adhesive, hence the name. But that might help if you are struggling with trying to get your glue out. Look at your tip and see if it is the blue tip, and if it's the blue tip, you know, the yellow tip is definitely easier to work with. Now, if you have a blue tip and you want to try to make it work, try thinning out your glue with just a little bit of water, just a teeny bit, not a lot, a couple drops from, you know, like your tap water, and see if that helps. And I think that that probably will. I have done that before with some success. So the stamps that came with the kit, I am pulling out Full Heart because it definitely was with spending time with this friend. And I'm going to stamp that on the label, and I'm going to put it up top. I'm just going to go ahead and adhere down everything with a little bit of adhesive. I am going to come back later with my sewing machine and stitch through that just with white thread, not so that you can necessarily see the stitching, but just so that it stays stitched and stays put. And again, off camera is when I do my stitching, and I am going to also stitch through the chipboard letters that spell out sweet, just because I do not want these to go anywhere. So I was having trouble getting something adhered down on the paint, so I used my Ranger Multi-Matte Medium and just put a little bit underneath the craft foam that's under that flower and adhered it. And I just put my bottle on to put some weight on it so that it would adhere and I could keep working on the page. And that worked beautifully. So that's another tip. If you are gluing something down and it's not going to stick, use that, and I find that it does a great job. The tacky adhesive works well as well, but I just found that for whatever reason, I don't know if I just had too much glue and the surface was too slick, it just wasn't doing the job for that particular part. So that was when I pulled out my matte medium. So the last thing I'm going to do is put a little bow in this tag, and my layout is done. So be sure and check out the blog. I'm going to have an inspiration blog post and a challenge so that you can participate with us. We love to have participation and love to see you post your layouts and your projects. So thanks so much for joining me. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.